on our own. Thank you very much. That's how bad it is. I don't know. Maybe the governor's sitting up there in Adelup in her cushion chair saying, maybe I don't need to do anything. They're just taking care of it themselves. Well, it makes my job easier. Maybe. I don't know. I wish I did, though. It's 721. Senator Tony Atta. He's definitely on Adelup's naughty list. And you only get naughtier by coming on this show. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
So let's just get right into this. We got Shima from Public Health coming on, and we did have Leilani Navarro, who is the acting administrator for the Division of Environmental Health, and they basically go around and do the COVID inspections, and more recently, Monday, inspections relative to the governor's Purge the Unvaccinated executive order. And this is the executive order that bars any unvaccinated people from gathering and attending, eating out, attending any services with any of these covered establishments. So anyway, long story short, there's a wedding Monday that we learned about from a Facebook posting, right, Bree?
Right. So Monday, as many of you know, was the day when Public Health, GPD, were set to begin the actual enforcement of the executive order / refined executive order, which sets the limits and the restriction of movement and for the unvaccinated. So on Facebook, there was this post. It was by Mark Mingiola, so we're just going to read it. It says, "So let me get this straight. I have an event planned for over 3 months. All my guests are fully vaccinated. They're all wearing masks. We're set up for social distancing at 6 feet. We have hand washing stations and sanitizers. We have a log of all attendees. We take their temperature, and we're outdoors in a facility that could hold 400 people, and we only invited 75 guests. We made sure that only 25 people were in the reception area. As people left, we had other people come. Most guests came and saw what was going on. Some decided to leave after they greeted the wedding party. So why did 3 public health inspectors show up with 4 SWAT officers? It was for them to verify that I had only 25 guests at the event at one given moment. They observed for 1 hour that we were in compliance. Not sure why all the firepower with GPD SWAT. SWAT guys were very cool and just following orders according to public health officials." Just going to the second page.
Yeah.
According to public health officials, they were ordered by governor's legal counsel to escort them to my function. Perhaps I need to stop training with MMA fighters. I didn't know my family and I were a serious threat to the safety of public health officials. All these precautions to mitigate the spread, and we cannot peacefully assemble for a religious ceremony and celebration. The herd showed up, but they were turned away. And that was a post on Facebook from a wedding that happened on Monday. And so,
Yep.
Senator Atta, you actually officiated that wedding. So to hear,
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So to hear what happened, I guess, what is your reaction to this?
When this wedding had been planned for several months, and they came to me asking me to officiate the wedding, and I said, sure, absolutely. It was a civil ceremony, and all the protocols were followed. Everything that Mark had mentioned there, hand washing. They even had a log listing of folks that came by, and to see and hear that the public health and SWAT came by. I understand they're doing their jobs, which is great, but I think the part there that is the overkill is coming in with SWAT. I mean, perhaps what they could have done is just came in with just the public health inspector, see if everything's on the up and up. They're abiding by the executive order and the public health guidance, and go from there and observe for a little bit and then go out. I mean, the resources that it took to have that many officials there at that function, that was very, very limited. It's just, it's amazing that they even did that. I mean, we have other places that could actually be, inspected and check if they're going by the executive order and public health guidance. And the question comes now, is that going to be the norm? Are they going to be going to every function and every event with a full cadre of public health inspectors and SWAT teams with them? So, it's one of those things that it shouldn't have happened. It did, but hopefully in the future that, they start just going in there and with caution to say, you know what, okay, everybody's has their mask on, everybody is, they have the hand sanitizing, they have a log going on. Okay, let's observe for a few minutes and then we can go. So, to hear that it ended up that way is just, it's mind-boggling as to why it even happened in that manner.
Yeah, it's a little heavy-handed, I would say.
I think overly heavy-handed. It's just...
I mean, it reeks of police state, let's just be honest, right? And, but I want to just also get the other side of this equation in there, Senator, as we spoke with the Environmental Health Acting Administrator, Leilani Navarro, and she had said that they were advised, first of all, it was a complaint someone called in, and that they were advised that there were going to be a lot of people there. And so she has said that the inspectors, when they go out to bars or they go out to, gatherings, obviously people are not happy about these orders. And so sometimes they, people get in their face.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you respond to that? And maybe on public health side, they're thinking, oh, wow, this is a lot of people. Oh, whoa, there's fighters there. Oh, my God, we need some backup.
No, absolutely. I mean, safety is first and foremost, especially for our public, officials that are conducting the inspections. But I think what they could have done is actually just gone in with a police officer, one police officer, and then, gauge the situation from there. And if assistance is needed, then they could have called in other members of the Guam Police Department. But to come in with members from the SWAT team, I think that just, are they going to do that to every function now going out? Are they going to be at every party or at every business establishment? Are they going to be at every private residence? Someone calls in a complaint and, I got 15 cars outside my house, but because, we're cleaning the yard, somebody calls and makes a complaint that, I got 15 cars at my house. Are they going to come into my house and inspect my house? I mean, we have to be very cautious how we move forward, right? I mean, yes, let's take the complaints as they come in, but we got to validate before we actually go in there with the full force.
Right, I totally agree.
At the end of the day, there were no citations, by the way.
That's
they
key.
didn't. Yeah, no citations were issued,
and that's because they were fully compliant. They were fully compliant with the 25 people, with the hand washing, with the face masks. I mean, this was a special moment in this couple's life. This was one of those moments. I mean, to be going through your ceremony and then you're going to have SWAT come in and with public health. I mean, what does that say?
Yeah, what does that say about your marriage? Good luck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You don't know if there's a warrant of arrest out for the bride or the groom, or what's going on here, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's why we just gotta. I mean, the government doesn't have the resources to do this to every single function
Correct.
And business that we have, and we need to be mindful of that, because if we're going to do it to every business and every function that is out there, GPD is just going to be overwhelmed and they're going to be drained.
Yeah, and I mean,
as well as public health.
There's other things going on, for the Guam Police Department to be handling out here, like I don't know, the crime wave maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And Chris, you were mentioning earlier that businesses have taken the lead, and they didn't need to go with the executive order. They're taking the lead to reduce their numbers within their establishments, and that's what it's about, right? Is always being proactive and not reactive, right? And that's what a lot of the community members are doing. I think what we need to do is stop this divide amongst the vaccinated and unvaccinated and come together as one community and say, this is how we need to move forward in ensuring that we continue to vaccinate our community. Let's put out the positive numbers of how many people got vaccinated yesterday instead of how many people haven't got vaccinated or tested positive. let's start coming out with positive news so that we can, because people out there that are unvaccinated are going to say, well, what's the use of getting vaccinated when the number of hospitalized patients is just the same as the vaccinated, unvaccinated.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Senator? Because like the governor came out weeks back, I want to say I can't even remember, it was that long ago. But she came out and she dropped this massive EO that mandated, right, the conditions we're living under now is it vaccinated. I was thinking last night, Bree, I mean, just stop what you're doing right now, right? But it's kind of crazy that if you're unvaccinated, you can't eat out in a restaurant. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but it's kind of crazy. But she hasn't come out after that, Senator. And meanwhile, we're seeing, like you said, half of the hospitalizations are for fully vaccinated individuals. And I think the vaccine works early on. The problem is it fades after 6 to 9 months. So I don't know why they haven't come out, why the governor hasn't come out and kind of like changed her message up. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we go 3 weeks in this surge without even hearing from our elected governor? Meanwhile, you turn on the TV in Texas, New York, California, and their governor, they can't get them off the TV.
I'm not sure, but I think that the messaging coming out of Adelup would really help the public understand as to the thought behind why we're going through these executive orders or why these public health guidance. And I think messaging from Adelup really needs to step it up and have the governor come out more frequently, talking to the people, talking to the people that she governs, and not just when it comes down to an executive order, putting down the gauntlet saying, no, this is the law of the land and this is going to be what it is from now until I change to the next executive order. And I think people will be more accepting to that than we live in a free country, I served our country for 6 years, and I didn't serve my country for 6 years so that my freedoms can be taken away at the swipe of a pen, right? So we need to ensure that we just keep with the messaging from Adelup comes out and talking to the people,
Well, speaking of executive orders and the division between vaccinated and unvaccinated and the fines if you violate these executive orders, did you attend that public hearing last week on Bill 176 and 180? And if you didn't, did you get a chance to watch and hear what people were saying and people were testifying?
Yeah, I wasn't able to be there, but I did tune in and I did watch as people were testifying as to, and that's the thing, right, Bray, is that we shouldn't be forced to be vaccinated. That's our right, whether we want to be vaccinated or not. It's a choice that we need to make as individuals. For someone to say you need to put this in your body and that's it. The last time I did that is when I was in the military and I was getting deployed to the Middle East, and they said, you need to take these certain vaccines and go on your merry way. Other than that, it was a choice that I made freely. That I got the vaccine. I went and got vaccinated. My entire staff here at my office got vaccinated, and we didn't have to. I didn't have to tell them go and get vaccinated. It's a choice they wanted to do. We wanted to protect ourselves. We wanted to protect our family. We wanted to protect those that are around us. So, and that's a choice we made. So, hopefully that those that are unvaccinated will make that same choice when they feel they're ready to make that choice. But they should not be forced to make the choice.
Thank you, Senator.
I wanted to switch over. Yeah. Can we switch over to the budget and the plans for ARP?
Wait a second. Is there a plan for ARP? Did I miss something?
Know. That's what I wanted
email.
to ask.
No, I check my email every 5 minutes, Bria. I would have seen if there was a plan.
Just wanted to see if Senator Ada had heard anything. Like, have you heard?
The budget, we worked with OFB and Senator San Agustin, and it was a budget that we felt that, okay, this is something we could possibly live with, that would still keep government operational but conservative. We had no plans from Adelup. We kept extending an olive branch They probably got about 100 olive trees growing down there now, because that's how many olive branches we sent them. But to no avail, they still did not respond to our request or even inquiries as to, what will be happening with the ARP funding. And up to this day, we still don't know what's going to be happening. We hear it on the news itself that, ARP will be utilized for the small businesses now. And, with GIDA, ARP will be used for GPA, but not once has the governor gotten with the legislature and saying, this is the plan for our ARP, and, this is how we're going to work it with the community. And I hope that, she'll be able to find the additional funding for her All Rise program to ensure that it's inclusive of all those that already put in an application.
Well, speaking of that All Rise program, what are you hearing from constituents about how that all went down, and whether you feel that there, in fact, is going to be a need for more funds?
And I think there is going to be a need for more funds when you look at the total applicants that have submitted. I think that the mad rush on the first day was uncalled for. It could have been handled in a better way. Department of Revenue and Taxation, their people, man, hats off to Daphne and her team. They did the best they can, online, in person, Dropbox, whatever it was, they did the best that they can into GPD for, controlling the traffic. But that didn't need to happen had the governor not put out that, it's capped at $30 million,
First
just
come,
come in,
first
submit
serve.
your application. Yeah, just come in, submit your application, and we'll go from there. But to say that it's capped and then, well, okay, I'm going to think about it and I'm going to gauge it, and then I'll come out later with the decision whether I'm going to uncap it and do have everybody inclusive that already submitted their application, which would be the right thing to do.
But we didn't get that. Instead, what we got was there was like a WhatsApp from Crystal Pacos and Augustine, and it said something like, "We're watching the program very closely." One sentence is supposed to appease thousands of people who need money so desperately that they're lining up 10 hours overnight.
Watching the situation closely, it's not an adequate answer to give. I mean, like I said, Chris, they could have came out with, don't worry, you submit your application and we're going to process it. Plain and simple. Don't let all these people go to that rush, and you have the elderly in line that they probably needed the restroom but couldn't use the restroom. You have our aging and sick, and everyone else in line trying to meet that deadline, or try to be that first in so they can be the first out. It was just an unfortunate situation that I hope doesn't happen in the future, and that I've always learned in the Army the 5 P's, right? And it's prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So that's what we need to do, just prior plan these things so that the performance is not piss poor.
I don't know if they have any former Army down there at Adelu, but thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bree.
Okay. You can always tell when Senator Ada is getting worked up because he says, He reminds me of my grandpa. My grandpa used to always say, wow, imagine that, guys. Imagine if the governor had come out and said, my dear people of Guam, don't worry. I know you're hurting. If we go over the cap, I got this. I mean, how hard would that be? Wow, that would just be like amazing. Or you take that and you apply it to anything else. Don't worry, my people of Guam. I know these cases are rising. We're just going to have to lock it down for a little bit just to stop the spread. I know I called out the unvaccinated, but it looks like the vaccinated are getting just as sick and going in the hospital and spreading the virus. Let's all unite together. How hard is that? Is it that hard?